The thing is, I picked this fight. I said to Frank, get me that fight made. So, and that's how it is. Frank's made the fight when it's on. I could have fought another 10 bums if I wanted to. No one forced me to fight Deontay Wilder. I picked Deontay Wilder because I believe he's an easy touch. I believe he's a lemon and I'm going to squeeze him nice and hard.
The fifth and final round. The next time I name a fighter, I want you to check for a few things. See if they've been knocked out in a prior fight. Then look at their age. See if they're older than Deontay Wilder and how many years older. The third thing I want you to look for is to see if they're undersized. The fourth thing I want you to look for is to see if they're coming off a layoff. Those are the 4 traits Shelly Finkel looks for before putting a fighter in the ring with Deontay Wilder. 1, they've been knocked out in a prior fight. 2, old age. 3, they're undersized. And 4, they're coming off a long layoff. For his 33rd professional fight, in his first shot at a world title, Deontay Wilder faced Bermane Stiverne. Let's apply the 4 categories. Bermane Stiverne is currently inactive. For his career, he had 30 professional bouts, 25 victories, 21 big wins coming by way of knockout. Bermane Stiverne suffered 4 defeats. 3 of those defeats came by way of knockout. What's important is to note, Bermane Stiverne was born in 1978. That's right, he's 7 years older than Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder was born in 1985. Another thing to keep in mind, Bermane Stiverne was undersized. He's listed at 6'2", but in actuality, he's probably a lot shorter than that. They always lie about the stats. Now, let's talk about how Bermane Stiverne won the title. He fought Chris Arreola, a man whose most impressive win was a hype job named Seth Mitchell. And then he fought him again for the vacant WBC title. You have to ask, why would he have to fight a man he already beat in his very next fight for the WBC title? It seems like the powers that be wanted him to be champion. So now we know Bermane Stiverne is old age, check. Undersized, checked. But did you know he was knocked out in a prior fight? Oh yes, he was knocked out before Deontay Wilder ever did it in their rematch. Bermane Stiverne was knocked out by a man named Demetrius King. Demetrius King had a record of 11 victories and 15 defeats. This man, with 11 wins and 15 defeats, stopped Bermane Stiverne in the 4th round. I'll say it again. This man, Demetrius King, with 11 wins and 15 defeats, stopped Bermane Stiverne in the 4th round. And for his 33rd professional fight, his first attempt at a heavyweight title, Deontay Wilder went 12 rounds with him.
Тяжелейший удар. И сейчас уже Стиверн в трудном положении, пропускает еще тяжелейший крюк. И еще. Вот сейчас он изображает из себя Кинг-Конга. Действительно, этот бой очень похож. И вот рефери останавливает поединок, сочтя, что...
If I was to ask you, who did it better, Demetrius King or Deontay Wilder, I think an objective person would admit it was the journeyman. If he even qualified to be a journeyman, Demetrius King did it better. Deontay Wilder went 12 hard rounds with Bermane Stiverne to become heavyweight champion. But you know the advantages. Bermane Stiverne, 7 years his senior. Bermane Stiverne, not a true champion. He didn't win the title in the ring. He won a vacant title against a man he had beaten in his fight prior to fighting him again for the vacant title. So they knew he would win. And also, Bermane Stiverne, a man who was knocked out by someone with 15 defeats. Knowing what you know now about Deontay Wilder's championship fight with Bermane Stiverne, are you impressed?
4 totals. Judge at ringside, Adelaide Bird scores about 118 to 109. Jerry Roth sees about 119 to 108. And Craig Metcalf scores about 120 to 107. All in favor of the winner. And now the first American boxer to win the heavyweight title.
Deontay Wilder's 34th professional fight and first title defense would be against Eric Molina. Look at Eric Molina's alias, Drummer Boy. That's because he was an instrument all the elite heavyweights loved to beat on. Eric Molina is listed as active. If you look at his career totals, he had 33 professional bouts, 27 victories, 19 victories coming by way of knockout. He suffered 6 defeats. All 6 defeats coming by way of knockout. Think about that. He's susceptible to being knocked out. Shelly Finkel like that. Look at his resume, and you'll see, early on in his career, he was knocked out by Ashanti Jordan. But when I say earlier in his career, I mean like his first fight. In his very first fight, his pro debut, Eric Molina was knocked out in the first round by Ashanti Jordan.
Eric Molina, my pro debut with Eric Molina lasted a minute and 45 seconds. Overhand right ended the night, so I had a good night that night. My uncle missed it because they started the fights too soon before they opened the doors. Yes,
Wait, so you knocked out Eric Molina before they opened the doors for them?
Yes.
Okay. Throughout his career, they would build his confidence up, giving him easy ones, pitching him softballs. You see our favorite guy, Joseph Raybot. We already know about him. Then, eventually, he stepped in the ring with Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola knocked out Eric Molina in the first round. That's 2 times he's been knocked out in the first round. His pro debut and Chris Arreola. And Deontay Wilder said he gets knocked out in the first round. And for my first title defense, I must prove why I'm the king of the leftovers. And of course, Deontay Wilder got him out of there in the 9th round. So let me get this straight. In his pro debut, he was fighting a man in his pro debut. And that man, Ashanti Jordan, got him out of there in the first round. And then he fought Chris Arreola. And Chris Arreola got Eric Molina out of there in the first round. Then he stepped up in class and fought Deontay Wilder, the hardest puncher in boxing history. And he went 9 rounds. Some fishy there. But let's examine something about this fight. Eric Molina was 37 years old. Deontay Wilder's 34. There goes that age advantage. Eric Molina was knocked out in his prior fight. Well, there goes that knockout. The prior knockout we're talking about. And Eric Molina is 6'4". Now, Deontay Wilder 6'7". You say not much of a size advantage, but it's not quite equal. Knowing what you know now about Eric Molina's resume, tell me, are you impressed?
Some support of his own as he trying to main, but there's a right hand. He turns his back. Down goes Molina.
4, 5, 6.
Twice in a fight, 5th time in his career. This crowd ready to erupt like a volcano as they anticipate the end. Clubbing right hand. Molina goes down. Oh, stiff James, if you will, and I must say rest in peace to the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Molina believes in the American Dream, but right now he just landed. Wilder did a nightmare of a left hook.
He's in trouble early in the round. A lot of time left in this round.
Wilder looking to maul Molina.
Here's a spot though where Wilder needs to be careful he doesn't get countered.
And heads like that, and then you get
Clubbing right hand.
Chance to say, well, you're not really handling this guy like
Well,
this.
there's a great shot, and he goes down faster than a plate of Alabama barbecue.
For his 35th professional fight and second defense of his title, Deontay Wilder fought Johann Duhaupas. At the time, Johann Duhaupas had a record of 32 wins, 2 defeats. Johann Duhaupas fought most of his career in France. As you can see, he built his resume fighting out of the country. In fact, the first time Johann Duhaupas fought in the United States of America, it was against Deontay Wilder. Johann Duhaupas was in SOF most of his career in France, fighting a majority of the fighters you never heard. In fact, the first time he stepped up in class was with Manuel Char, and that was a majority decision in favor of Johann Duhaupas. It was immediately after his close fight with Manuel Char that he was selected to fight Deontay Wilder for a second title defense. For his career, Johann Duhaupas has 43 bouts, 38 victories, 25 of those victories coming by way of knockout. He suffered 5 defeats. 2 of those defeats came by way of knockout. The first time to Deontay Wilder, and the second time to Alexander Povetkin. But the key to keep in mind, he built his resume against softer competition. And the first time he fought in the United States of America, it was for the heavyweight championship of the world against Deontay Wilder. But he didn't come here to lay down. Johann Duhaupas fought his heart out, and he gave Deontay Wilder all he can handle. In fact, the damage showed on Deontay Wilder's face. Johann Duhaupas, would you consider him elite? Was he ever champion? Has he ever beaten a contender? Has he ever beaten a top-ranked heavyweight? Absolutely not. Look at the world of trouble that he gave Deontay Wilder in his first fight in the United States of America, and tell me, are you impressed?
They have to stop this.
It's on! Deontay Wilder has stopped Johann Duhaupas in the 11th round, and it was not easy.
For his 36th professional fight, Deontay Wilder faced Arthur Szpilka. Here's some key notes about Arthur Szpilka. He started his career at cruiserweight. His career totals are 28 bouts, 24 wins, 16 of those wins coming by way of knockout. He was defeated 4 times. All 4 times they were by way of knockout. Was Deontay Wilder the first fighter to KO him? Don't kid yourself. That honor goes to Bryant Jennings. Bryant Jennings is a man who started boxing after his basketball career didn't pan out. He came into boxing late. He fought Arthur Szpilka in his 18th professional fight, and he stopped Arthur Szpilka in the 10th round.
Чтобы тут же перейти в контратаку, как сейчас. О, заходит в правый бок. Левый боковой мощнейший пропускает. Szpilka провисает на канатах. Ну что, это нокаут или нокдаун? Решит сейчас рефери. Но однозначно тяжело на ногах сейчас стоит Szpilka. Рефери дает такую возможность. Szpilka пошел вперед, хотя видно, что просто по инерции. Дженнингс тут принимает сразу атаку на себя и пошел вперед на добивание. Ему это удалось.
Deontay Wilder fought Arthur Szpilka in his 36th professional fight for his 3rd title defense. Does that seem right? Does it seem like they're fighting the same level of competition? Should they be? One's a champion in his 3rd title defense. The other is a guy who came to boxing late, and he TKO'd him in his 18th fight. Meanwhile, Deontay Wilder is patting him and adding him to the resume in his 3rd title defense. The guy started at cruiserweight, was already TKO'd, and that's when Deontay Wilder said, oh yeah, I'll fight him. Now, after Deontay Wilder KO'd Arthur Szpilka in the 9th round, because let's be clear, Arthur Szpilka didn't go out without a fight. In fact, he took several of those devastating, big right-hand shots that people say will knock out a horse, and he didn't go down. It was the one he didn't see. It was the one when he was coming in to attack Deontay Wilder, the counter punch, that knocked him out. But still, he displayed a lot of heart. After being beaten by Deontay Wilder, he was knocked out by Adam Kalinowski, a fellow Polish fighter who was beginning to gain traction in the Polish community. And then, after that, Derek Ward Chisora just completely annihilated him in the 2nd round. Take a look at Deontay Wilder's fight with the little cruiserweight, who had already been TKO'd by Bryant Jennings. In his 18th fight, Deontay Wilder's fighting him in his 36th professional fight, 3rd title defense. And tell me, are you impressed?
This distance, he's either going to be all the way in or all the way out.
Yeah, good, that's a very good point. And there's the body work by Szpilka, which he's tried to do.
And that's something that Wilder, because of his height, a stinging right hand, but Szpilka takes it and stays in the pocket. Now Wilder,
when you're too far out. Back rounder after a couple of rounds that haven't gone well for him.
Yeah, forcing a bit of an uncomfortable tempo and pace.
Now we move on to Deontay Wilder's 37th professional fight and 4th title defense against Chris Arreola. I would like to say, I like Chris Arreola. He used to be very entertaining, but I have to call out the facts. Chris Arreola's the kid who called a timeout during a fight. You remember those kids? You be in the middle of the scuffle. It's getting heated. They're running out of gas. Time out, time out. Yeah, that was Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola's picture should be beside the definition, human punching bag. Because that's how he stopped punches, with his head. If you think I'm lying, you can review most of his other fights. Chris Arreola had documented stamina problems. Yes, that is a fact. I'm not making this up.
Here we go.
You know, just caught me right there with a nice right hand, you know, counter hook. And then the right hand just came right in, ran the button, man, nothing else to say. Come around the button, I have my hands up, he's a strong motherfucker. I just got caught in, that's what happens. And then this fight, you know, a lot of people made it criticize about my weight, but you know what, like I said before, I wasn't worried about my weight this time. All I was worried about is going to war with this man. And you know, we went to war for 2 rounds and that's all I needed.
And maybe next time you will be concerned about the weight and go to war. Are you going to have to be concerned about the weight against the Klitschko brother?
I'm already concerned. I'm already thinking about it. You know, as soon as the fight was over, I was thinking about a Klitschko already. So, you know, I'm going to come ready, come tomorrow, you know, probably eat some noodle or something. And then come Monday back in the gym and hit the road work, man.
Congratulations on a spectacular knockout, Chris.
Hey, muchas gracias a toda la gente que está aquí, toda mi gente mexicana. Aquí está un campeonato, vamos a traer más. Another thing I want to say, you know, I want to thank all my sparring partners that came out here that whooped my ass. I want to thank Mr. Dan Goosen, Al Heyman.
Everyone knew it, the world knew it, but most importantly, he knew it. Believe it or not, Chris Arreola is listed as active, although he's currently suspended by the California State Athletic Commission as well as the New York State Athletic Commission. His career totals, 47 professional bouts, 38 victories, 33 wins coming by way of knockout. He suffered 6 defeats. 3 of those defeats came by way of knockout. Now, I don't need to go to the beginning of his career. It's obvious he was built the same way Deontay Wilder was built. Taking advantage of those who needed a paycheck and had the courage to step in the ring and get beat up for money. When Chris Arreola stepped up in class, he was battered by Vitaly Klitschko. He quit in the 10th round and didn't come out. Referee technical decision. He was then beaten by Thomas Adamak, the former light heavyweight champion, the former cruiserweight champion, who moved up to heavyweight and was nothing more than a contender at best. He then had 2 fights with Bermane Stiverne. The first fight, he lost a unanimous decision. And then he fought Seth Mitchell, the hyped up former football star from Michigan State. He knocked out Seth Mitchell. And then he had his rematch with Bermane Stiverne after an 8-month layoff. Bermane Stiverne was coming off a long layoff himself.
Again, activity very important in anything you do. Arreola, last time he was in the ring, 8 months ago. He took a tune-up. Stiverne, 1 year, 1 month.
A sweeping right hand!
6, 7, 8. You okay?
Lot of time.
Yourself. Give me your gloves.
Lot of time.
Walk to me. Walk to me. No. You're
this is buying time. This is buying time for Arreola. Valuable time. He just bought himself 10 seconds.
Can he survive the big power of the Haitian slugger? Stiverne trying to hit a home run here in LA. Headshot after headshot. Arreola doesn't look good at all. Jack Reese has a decision to make here.
Legs ain't right. Legs aren't right.
Give me your gloves.
Too much time.
You're sure you can defend yourself.
He's going to let it go.
Too much time.
Can he survive a minute?
Too much time.
Headshot after headshot. And that is it.
By the time he fought Deontay Wilder, he was 36 wins, 4 defeats, and 1 draw. He was knocked down in his fight with Travis Kaufman, the fight before Deontay Wilder, and he struggled. It was a very close fight. The score totals were close, but it was ruled a no decision because Arreola failed a drug test after the fight. Still, Deontay Wilder gave him a shot at the title in his very next fight. Deontay Wilder made Arreola quit in the 8th round. Remember, this wasn't a one-punch knockout. This wasn't a phenomenal deal. This was a man who had documented stamina problems, who's been knocked down by Walker, who was stopped by Bermane Stiverne, who in the fight prior to stepping in the ring with Deontay Wilder was dropped by Travis Kaufman. His greatest victory was over a hype job named Seth Mitchell. How good was he really? Take a look. Knowing what you know now, tell me, are you impressed?
Are you okay? Absolutely. Put your hands up. Give me your gloves. That's what I'm talking about.
Only a few seconds left, but a hard right hand by Wilder. And Arreola is hurt. Back with another hook. In the final seconds of round 8, Arreola is in bad shape. We're live here in Birmingham, Alabama. Commercial free here on Fox, and it looks like, well, Ramirez having a word. No, they're going to get to work. Ramirez wanders across and talks to Jack Reese. He's done. Good call.
Wilder had 4 title defenses to this point. All of those title defenses came against men who were already beaten. 3 of those men were older than Deontay Wilder. The exception was Szpilka, the man who started at cruiserweight. All 4 of those men were significantly shorter and lacked athleticism. They needed an opponent that could change the perception of Wilder without generating much risk. Insert Gerald Washington. Now, before I start to dive into Gerald Washington and his resume, I want to highlight some contrast between Gerald Washington and Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is 34 years old. Gerald Washington is 37 years old. Deontay Wilder turned pro in 2008. He's also an Olympic bronze medalist. Gerald Washington is not. Deontay Wilder fought for a title in his 33rd professional fight. Gerald Washington fought for a title in his 19th professional fight. You have to question why they took it slow with Deontay Wilder. Fed him the competition you saw in the prior videos, but for Gerald Washington, they threw him in the ring with Deontay Wilder in his 19th professional fight, when Deontay Wilder's the one who won a bronze medal and not Gerald Washington. Think about that for a second, and let's review Gerald Washington. For his 38th professional fight and 5th title defense, Deontay Wilder faced Gerald Washington. His career totals are 25 bouts, 20 victories. 13 of those victories came by way of knockout. He suffered 4 defeats. All 4 of those defeats came by way of knockout. That says something about the chin. Let's dive into his alias. El Gallo Negro. That means the Black Rooster. But in boxing, they just call him That Negro. You want to win? Pick That Negro. That's what the top contenders say. But don't believe me. Take a look at his resume when he steps up in competition. They build him up, fighting the typical caliber of opponents they made Deontay Wilder face. Even some similar opponents. For example, he faced Jason Gavern, and he won an 8-round unanimous decision against him. He also fought Travis Walker. You remember, Travis Walker dropped Chris Arreola in the first round when Chris Arreola told the world he was getting beat up by his sparring partners. Travis Walker's record, 39 wins, 11 defeats. Gerald Washington TKO'd him in the 2nd round. But the fight you need to focus on was Gerald Washington's fight with Amir Mansour. Amir Mansour currently is 47 years old. Gerald Washington is currently 37 years old. Gerald Washington had a split decision draw with a man 10 years his senior. Amir Mansour was never champion. Amir Mansour was never a top 10 contender. But yes, Amir Mansour has a split decision draw with Gerald Washington. But here's the kicker. Amir Mansour was robbed. Yes, he was robbed. He beat Gerald Washington. But they needed a body. They needed an aesthetically pleasing body with an undefeated record to give and feed to Deontay Wilder. Although Amir Mansour never got the decision he deserved, he will get the credit from me. And see for yourself. When fans are booing a decision, that's usually an indication that the wrong fighter won. Against Amir Mansour, Gerald Washington showed the type of vulnerabilities that would earn him a title shot against Deontay Wilder. For Deontay Wilder's 38th professional fight and 5th defense of his title, he fought Gerald Washington. Deontay Wilder was able to TKO Gerald Washington in the 5th round, but it wasn't easy. Gerald Washington outboxed him at many stages of the fight, and he took several rounds. Deontay Wilder eventually found a home for his right hand, and he dropped Gerald Washington. Gerald Washington got up and was on his feet when the referee decided to stop the fight. It didn't look like Gerald Washington was finished, but it didn't look like Gerald Washington really wanted to continue. Either way, he wasn't knocked out in a fashion where he needed to leave on a stretcher. By any means, the referee just stopped the fight. After being TKO'd by Deontay Wilder, Gerald Washington would go on to become a resume builder. He was beaten by Joe Big Baby Miller in his 20th professional fight. Gerald Washington retired in the corner. And then Gerald Washington was defeated by Adam Kalinowski. He was TKO'd in the 2nd round in Adam Kalinowski's 19th professional fight. He then went on to beat Robert Helenius by KO in the 8th round. And he was eventually TKO'd by Charles Martin. Are you impressed?
Big knockout blow. This is exactly what Gerald Washington wants. The pace and the timing. Oh, big right hand, and down goes Washington. There's that big shot that he was looking for. Oh, my goodness. 1:35 left in round number 5, and Deontay Wilder is going to go for the finish, and Washington needs to tie up immediately. This is a bad spot. And a big right hand followed by a left hook. And this one, and look at Wilder, he's pouring it on. The left hook, and this one is over.
Bermane Stiverne was living his best life. He was eating griot, sipping on cremasse, showing up to every compa night he can find. He was just showing up. I mean, he wasn't dancing. That was too much energy. He was just showing up so he can eat more food and watch people dance. Bermane Stiverne. Hey, more plantain, s'il vous plaît. That's right. Bermane Stiverne, living his best life. Seriously, look at his last fight before he had the rematch with Deontay Wilder. It was November 14th, 2015, against Derek Rossi. Derek Rossi had 30 wins, 10 defeats. And take a look at the key point about this fight. He knocked Stiverne down in the 1st round. After that fight, Bermane Stiverne went on a hiatus. He had 2 years out of the ring. It's right before your eyes. He fought Derek Rossi on November 14th, 2015. And then he fought Deontay Wilder in the rematch, November 4th, 2017. That's correct. Deontay Wilder fought a man already 7 years his senior. Already given up inches in height, coming off of a 2.5-year layoff from a fight where he was down in the 1st round. And yeah, in that professional fight, in that rematch, Bermane Stiverne threw less than 10 punches. Don't believe me? Review the fight for yourself. It's only 2 minutes. The truth is, they had Bermane Stiverne right where they wanted him. They needed Deontay Wilder to be able to say he knocked out every opponent that he's ever faced. That one glaring blemish was Bermane Stiverne. He had gone the distance. They needed to say, Deontay Wilder knocked out everyone he's ever been in the ring with. He's the hardest puncher in boxing history. So they had to knock out Bermane Stiverne. But in this case, Bermane Stiverne really knocked out himself. Or did he? He wasn't active. He wasn't fighting. Deontay Wilder needed that. He needed that to veer that air of invincibility. He needed to knock out Bermane Stiverne. And he got Bermane Stiverne. But not the same Bermane Stiverne that he faced in his 33rd professional fight. Heck, he didn't even knock out the Bermane Stiverne that Demetrius King knocked out in the 4th round. He knocked out the worst version of Bermane Stiverne that we have ever seen. Knowing what you know now, take a look at this and tell me, are you impressed?
You see, one thing we worked on was throwing the jab at a different angle so that he would walk right into the right hand, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that jab was coming in a different angle, but I don't know if we're going to get another look at that right hand. If you look at when he turned the right hand over, he turned it all the way over so that it was almost his thumb was pointed down. That way it's able to split the glove a little easier than if you're pointing the right hand and it's parallel, you're not going to be able to split the glove as much. Here's the final combination.
And the camera's the end there, and look, it was almost as if Bermane Stiverne was out on the canvas for that point. I mean, the
Deontay Wilder, does he have any shame? He beat Dustin Nichols. He beat Daniel Sheehan. He beat Marlon Hayes. And for his next trick, he's going to beat on the elderly. An old man who takes blood pressure medicine. I can't believe this. Luis Ortiz is so old, his social security number's 1. Luis Ortiz is so old, when God said let there be light, he hit the switch. Luis Ortiz is so old, he's the first athlete to have an orthopedic sponsor. Luis Ortiz is so old, he traveled from city to city on the back of a T-Rex. Luis Ortiz is so old, he cut Fidel Castro's umbilical cord. And this is the man Deontay Wilder chose to fight in his 40th fight for a 6th title defense. Deontay Wilder, a man with no shame.
Now recently, as a big heavyweight fight, you had Wilder Ortiz. What do you think about the whole Ortiz debacle?
I told before, I believe in conspiracies. I think they've been know about that blood pressure medication. It is usually the right time to get Ortiz out of the way and put somebody in there, less credibility, but they couldn't find nobody, so Stiverne got back in there.
For his 40th professional fight and 6th defense of his title, Deontay Wilder would face the elder statesman, Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz is listed as active. His career totals 35 professional bouts, 31 victories, 26 victories coming by way of knockout. He suffered 2 defeats. Both of those defeats came by way of knockout. His age is listed as 41, and I have to say, no one's buying that. It's rumored that Luis Ortiz was there when they invented sliced bread. But hey, if they want to tell that story, let them. Luis Ortiz is more like 50. He started his career in light. So light, he had 5 fights in 2010. And then he had 9 fights in 2011. And then he had 5 fights in 2012. Many of those fights won countries not known for boxing. This is a classic tactic to build your resume. You go to a country that's not known for producing good fighters, and you beat up a bunch of tomato cans. It's the reason he had 9 fights in 2011. It's the reason he built his resume so quickly. Even after having 19 fights, his 20th opponent was one of our favorite resume builders, Joseph Raybot. So think about that before you give Luis Ortiz credit. In his 20th fight, he faced a guy Deontay Wilder fought in his 4th fight. A man who Teddy Atlas was not impressed with. A man who Teddy Atlas made it clear was just there to get knocked out and make Deontay Wilder look good. Yeah, that guy. Luis Ortiz fought him in his 20th professional fight to become 20-0. Luis Ortiz had his biggest victory against Bryant Jennings, a man who started boxing late. A man who played basketball and got into the sport of boxing because he wanted to use his athleticism. Luis Ortiz was 28-0 when he fought Deontay Wilder. But remember, his 20th fight was against Joseph Raybot. Deontay Wilder stepped in the ring with Jack Johnson's former sparring partner and almost got stopped. He got rocked. He was more hurt by Ortiz than Gerald Washington was hurt by him. If Deontay Wilder had Ortiz as hurt as he was in the 7th round, the referee would have stopped the fight quickly. You saw how eager the ref was to stop the Gerald Washington fight. Instead, at the start of the 8th round, they gave Deontay Wilder extra time. Deontay Wilder, to his credit, recovered and was able to stop Luis Ortiz in the 10th. When confronted about receiving extra time in the 7th round, Deontay Wilder refused to give Luis Ortiz credit, but he offered him a senior citizen's discount. Are you impressed? Shameless plug. If you're looking for entertaining content that involve Wilder vs. Fury, both fights, you should check out some of our other videos. We have numerous debates that we think you would enjoy. In addition to that, we have other videos such as Come Humble or Leave Humbled. Another video titled 5 Times Fury was brutally honest with Wilder and he took it as a joke. We also have a video titled Making a Bronze Bomber, where we show the stages of Deontay Wilder and when he went from being a man who was just humble to becoming a man who said he wants a body in the ring. Deontay Wilder fought Tyson Fury for his 41st professional fight, and he was attempting his 8th defense of the title. Tyson Fury, his career totals: 30 victories, 21 knockouts, no defeats, 1 draw. That is correct. He is undefeated. His age, 31. His alias, the Gypsy King. If you know anything about that title, you know it's not given, it is earned. The Gypsy King refers to the title King of the Gypsies, in which they fight bare-knuckle fights to decide who is the baddest among them. All challenges are accepted. Really, there's no age for retirement. Tyson Fury has never been knocked out, but he has been knocked down. He was knocked down by Navin Pajic and Steve S.S. Cunningham. Fury was in light for his first 7 fights, but in his 8th fight he faced John McDermott for the British title. He won by unanimous decision. In his 11th fight, he had a rematch with John McDermott and stopped him in the 9th round of a 12-round fight. Most fighters aren't having 12-round fights for their 11th bout. In his 15th professional fight, Tyson Fury faced Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora was 14-0. Both fighters were undefeated. Tyson Fury won a unanimous decision. In his 16th professional fight, he stopped Nikolai Furta, the man who gave Deontay Wilder all he can handle. In his 26th professional fight, he beat the 10-year reigning champion, Vladimir Klitschko, and became the lineal heavyweight champion. The WBA, the IBF, the WBO, and the IBO heavyweight champion of the world. He was crowned Ring Magazine champion, and we can add the title King of the Gypsies as well. Shout out to Big Joe Joyce. Compare what Tyson Fury was doing in his 26th fight to what Deontay Wilder was doing in his. If you want to talk about level of competition, I hear people saying everyone fights bums. Yes, but you don't continue to fight bums. At some point, you step it up. In his 26th professional fight, Tyson Fury was the lineal heavyweight champion, the WBA, the IBF, the WBO, the IBO, and the Ring Magazine champion in his 26th professional fight. Tyson Fury represented the second time Deontay Wilder was going to face an opponent younger than him since he had won the title. He also represented the first time Deontay Wilder was going to face a fighter that was bigger than himself. I know what you're saying. This breaks the 4 rules, right? Not exactly. Rule 4, the layoff. Tyson Fury fought Vladimir Klitschko on November 28, 2015, and didn't fight again until June 9, 2018. Tyson Fury was coming off a 2.5-year layoff. During that layoff, Tyson Fury battled depression, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, mental health issues, and obesity. Tyson Fury weighed over 400 pounds.
Look at me, flying. Look like Big Papa, crossed with Tony Soprano.
Tyson, good to see you here, looking very sharp.
Oh, I'm here as usual. Very vocal and very ill-dressed. I got started back training again 5 weeks ago. I'm doing really well with that. And I just look forward to putting 2017 in my rear-view mirror. I was speaking to Roy Jones recently, and he said, if you can't come back and wipe the floor of all these bums, he said, you must be a bum yourself. And I said, right, it's a deal, it's on. And wipe the floor of them. I'm flying! I can always tell if I'm up because my face seems to have got better looking by the day.
He's back! Got to get Francesco Pianetta out the way, then I'll come for Wilder.
I do like what I'm seeing from Tyson Fury now.
I'm knocking you the out bum. And a king like me, where does he go to find a wife? Queens, baby.
Please welcome Tyson Fury.
I'd like to say even Deontay Wilder knows to sit down in the presence of greatness. It's now 4-0 because that was a 10-8 round out there. The mind games are mine. I am the master of the mind. A man goes from rags to riches, loses it all within a year, but wins it back again all within a year of his comeback. How great of a story is that?
The comeback. For his comeback, Tyson Fury fought Sephiroth Sefri on June 9, 2018. He weighed 276 pounds. In his second fight for the comeback, he fought Francesco Pena on August 18, 2018, 2 months after he fought Sephiroth Sefri. He weighed 258 pounds. On December 1, 2018, Tyson Fury faced the baddest man on the planet 6 months after returning from a 2.5-year layoff, and they still had to rob him. Are you impressed? For his 42nd professional fight and 8th defense of his title, Deontay Wilder faced Dominic Breazeale. His career totals 22 bouts, 20 victories. 8 of those victories came by way of knockout, and 2 defeats. Both defeats came by way of knockout. His status is listed as active, although he hasn't fought since their encounter. His alias is Trouble. Talk about an oxymoron. I'm not going to spend more time reviewing this man than he did in the ring with Deontay Wilder. Let's be clear, he was in light. His resume is the stuff of fluff. He fought Amir Mansour, the gatekeeper. Amir Mansour knocked Breazeale down in the 3rd round. Breazeale got up and eventually stopped Amir Mansour. Remember, he's currently 47 years old. He faced Anthony Joshua and got battered for 7 rounds. When Breazeale fought Anthony Joshua, it was his 18th fight. He was 17-0 going into the fight. When Anthony Joshua fought Dominic Breazeale, it was his 17th fight. Deontay Wilder fought Dominic Breazeale as his 42nd fight and 8th title defense. Dominic Breazeale started boxing because he was a former football player who didn't get drafted. After his fight with Eric Molina, Dominic Breazeale had a 9-month layoff. He returned to the ring and fought Carlos Negron, where he was outboxed until he landed a right-hand shot that ended the night. He called out Deontay Wilder, and there it was. 5 months later, he was in the ring with Deontay Wilder, getting knocked out. Tell me, are you impressed? For his 43rd professional fight and 9th title defense, Deontay Wilder selected Luis Ortiz again. Now I wish I could sit here and tell you that Luis Ortiz aged gracefully, but I'm not gonna lie. By the time Wilder Ortiz 2 came around, Luis Ortiz was looking like my nana. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. They look like they used the same product in their hair. My grandma got the Jerry curl. Remind me of Eazy-E. We call her Gangsta Granny. Ortiz was looking like Gangsta Nanny. Yeah, he reminded me of my nana. But to Deontay Wilder, he saw a vicious opponent. By the time Deontay Wilder fought Luis Ortiz, he could no longer get rid of mid-level competition. He dropped Travis Kaufman 3 times, but struggled to finish him off. And then he fought Christian Hammer, a man Fury stopped in 2015 and went the distance. Luis Ortiz was also coming off an 8-month layoff. When you're 50 years old, coming off an 8-month layoff, that's a big deal. But it didn't stop Luis Ortiz from outboxing Deontay Wilder for the first 6 rounds. I scored the fight. I gave the first 6 rounds to Luis Ortiz. Unfortunately, Deontay Wilder got a hold of him in the 7th round, and he did some not so nice things to some really old people. Are you impressed? There are 4 things Shelly Finkel looks for in potential Wilder opponents. 1. Have they been knocked out before? Fury has never been knocked out, but he has been down on the canvas several times. Finkel was confident Wilder would be able to get Fury out of there because he dropped Fury twice in their first fight. 2. A fighter's age. Out of all Wilder's 9 defenses, only 2 opponents were younger than him. They were willing to overlook Fury's age because of the time he spent abusing his body. Over 400 pounds, abusing drugs, depression, alcoholism, and things of that nature. 3. A fighter's size. They like for Wilder to have the size advantage. Only Fury, Breazeale, and Washington could look him in the eye. 4. They like fighters who have been inactive. Coming into the rematch, Fury had 2 fights, Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin. Since becoming champion, February 22nd was the first time Wilder faced a man who didn't fall into the category of knocked out in a prior fight, older than him, undersized, coming off a layoff, or suffered a defeat. That man was the lineal heavyweight champion they brought in as a cherry. They thought he was ripe for the picking, failing to realize it was Fury who cherry-picked Wilder all along. It is the reason Deontay Wilder was his third fight in 6 months, even after a 2.5-year layoff. That's right. Tyson Fury didn't just call Deontay Wilder a big dosser with his words. He did it with his actions. When he came off a 2.5-year layoff and made Deontay Wilder his third fight in 6 months, he treated Deontay Wilder the way he treated Dustin Nichols. He treated Deontay Wilder the way he treated Dan Sheehan. He treated Deontay Wilder the way he treated Marlon Hayes. It's just one thing. He was still coming off a layoff, and he got dropped. But in the second fight, when all of the advantages were gone, when the fight was on the up and up, we saw Deontay Wilder face the first fair fight, the first equal opponent he had in his entire career. And you know what happens next. Are you impressed?
He puts him down! Fury scores the knockdown!
And he is putting his body weight on Wilder. Wilder needs to stay away from the ropes.
He does not look good.
Right hand.
Do not look good.
It's teeing off. The corner's in. And this one is over. Tyson Fury has become the new WBC heavyweight champion of the world.
If he knocked you out, he called in the second round. I'm retired. I'm done. I already have 6 years left in the sport. But if he get me out in the second round, knock me out, I'm done, bro.
Wow.
I'm done, period.